Our goal is to use this as a documentary, the entire flow and process of everything we're doing here. So every call and everything that we do for this project will be recorded. This is a bit about the organization and some of the things that we've been doing over the past 6 years. So we have what's called a Community Ambassador Program that is for students ages 14 to 22. And these are students, it's a free program where students can come in and learn workforce skills and help run the organization. We have students who do our social media, who help with mentoring at programs, who help arrange and serve at programs for registration and other tasks and set up and clean up and help design curriculum, and really are an integral part of this organization. And it's really a program that's for students, run by students. And they are all volunteers. They come in after school, weekends, summertime, and they're just an integral part of shaping the organization and making sure that we're providing them with opportunities to grow their experience and to build relationships and connections to industry partners so they can hopefully as they enter college and career, they've got a network already established and they're ahead of the game for these. And again, these are not your typical students. These are students who want more than what's being offered in the typical school environment. They're maybe not involved in a lot of after school activities or sports, and this is more their thing. So we provide an opportunity for those students to kind of find a way to shine and to demonstrate their capabilities. A lot of our students that are in the Community Ambassador Program go on to either computer science universities for degrees in computer science or engineering of some format. And they come back and teach for us, which is exciting. We actually teach them how to teach some of these immersive learning programs, and then they'll come back as adults and teach students that are coming in new as community ambassador students. So it's this full cycle that we take a process through. We have the web development programs where we're helping students build competence in the world of web services. And that's a little bit of part of what we're going to be talking about tonight. We have our annual Codeathon, which some folks on the phone have been an integral part of that and helping us to bring a really amazing learning experience to both students and volunteers who participate in that program. It happens simultaneously every January for a 3-day weekend, which is a 48-hour event. Where the students come in on Friday night, they go home on Sunday, they come with their sleeping bags and their pillows and a desire to learn and come away with real coding skills and just have a really great bonding experience and meeting other students who have like interests in theirs. And that takes place across New York, PA, Ohio, and this coming year, North Carolina. And we continue to grow and expand that program. And part of what we're doing with this project we'll be talking about tonight is an evolution of kind of taking us one step further than having just a 3-day program, but having something that continues throughout the year. We do career coaching for students and adults, helping them discover opportunities, whether it's because their career they're in is disrupted or being disrupted, or if they're just looking for a change and looking to do something new or understand the new innovative careers that are coming out, or if they're students that are really kind of lost and not sure what they want to do and they want to get exposure to different types of career opportunities, we help do that. And we do a big part of that is done at our Discovery Day at Microsoft. It's very much our science experiment we do each year. That program is a immersive full-day program, sometimes multiple days, but new audiences each time, where we bring students from all around the New York metro area into the Microsoft offices in New York City and just expose them to a lot of different types of innovative learning opportunities and career opportunities. And then our workplace learning experiences, we do a lot of programs where students get real-world experience through volunteering or through internships or job shadowing. And then we also offer programs where we involve family members. We believe that parents can't be left behind. A lot of schools today, a minority of schools today are teaching computer science in school districts, and a lot of parents are confused about why there's a need for that. And so we introduce them to some fun experiences with their students and help them understand the opportunities that are ahead of them for careers and why there's value in these types of, and bringing computer science into the classrooms. Our Creating STEAM Summer program is actually going on right now. This program is a 10-day program. It's an extremely immersive entrepreneur program where these students will design a conceptual business And then they will take that business model and represent it into a website, and whether it's a service or a product that they're offering. And then they have to create a marketing video that's 2 to 3 minute marketing video presentation. And then they'll present their projects this Friday in front of a panel of judges, and their websites and their presentation and everything is scored with a rubric, and it's recorded live, presented live via Facebook. And these students just have a phenomenal learning experience. And what we're giving them is the tools and resources and confidence in being able to do this and repeat this model again and again, no matter what they're doing in school, or some of the skills they're learning is time management and what a real process is to take a product to reality. So it's just a fun, immersive experience for students ages 13 to 18. Our new addition to our organization is our podcast studio. You know, we need to get our teachers and our students understanding how to build strong communication, digital communication skills across multiple modalities, and this is a way to do that. So students can use this facility, teachers can use this facility to create digital content, to practice their pitch, to practice building maybe a community or a podcast series that they want to do and what they want to teach, and just a great way for us to diversify our ability to raise funds for the organization through renting of the facility, as well as offering it to students at no cost. And then we have our Building STEAM program. That is really a program where it's a one-day immersive experience for younger audiences, ages 10 to 14, where we introduce them to some web development around WordPress, and a more simplified model than our other programs, just to get kids introduced to these concepts. And that's really the full cycle of all the things that we offer today. So just to bring awareness to, and these programs have evolved. Some of them have been with us since we started, and some of them are coming in new every year. We either, we look at our programs and evaluate what we're doing and what needs are. We have other programs that are not listed on here, like our cybersecurity program and our digital and virtual reality, digital animation and visual effects programs that we do as well. And if I can get the slide to move forward, there we go. I'm going to just paste this out so you guys can see a little bit about some of the work we're doing. So this slide is really representative of our facility that we're opening, the STEAM Research and Education Center facility, and the partnerships that we'll be helping to ensure it sustains through a revenue model and a sustainable model for the not-for-profit. When we designed the not-for-profit, you know, over almost 7 years ago, it was really designed to build a global organization that could sustain on its own, that didn't have to rely on funding, and could build programs and resources to create the ability to sustain the organization, but still offer free programs for students who can't afford, and really addressing the digital divide. The more we innovate and the more technology that comes out, the greater that gap becomes for schools that have and schools that have not. Schools who can afford these types of immersive programs can continue to expose their students to these career opportunities, and to really make sure these students have the opportunity to learn computer science skills, which are the skills we need these students to have for the future to sustain. But many schools can't afford that, and the greater, the more technology becomes pervasive in our schools, the more that gap gets greater for these schools who can't afford to take those leaps, and they struggle. So our goal and our mission is to make sure that schools who can't afford have access to these resources through our facility, through our team members, and through our programs. Their students can attend free. So we accommodate students who are from free and reduced lunch, or at-risk students can come and take through scholarships, and through other funding sources can participate in our programs at no cost. Many of our programs are free entirely, and some of them are in a cost model just because of the type of programs that they might be. We have a for-profit organization that we started when I retired from Microsoft. So I started this organization while working at Microsoft, and my background is 35 years in the technology industry, and 10 of those years were at Microsoft. And I left Microsoft about 4 years ago to do this full time, and started a for-profit entity that was really designed to fund the not-for-profit. And that entity is called Lori Carey Consulting, and it's now being rebranded to Nebula Academy. We're just waiting for our finalization on our DBA for that, and that brand will be shifting to Nebula Academy. And that organization does pretty much everything we do in the not-for-profit, we do in that organization, but we do it for paid services for school districts, for professional development for teachers, and also some professional development for other corporate entities and government agencies. And that allows us to create a revenue stream that helps support and fund the not-for-profit and helps us ensure we've got our instructors who are who are continually connected with the industry and that we bring value back to the not-for-profit. K-12 is another partnership we're working with to build a online blended micro high school that will take place in this facility as well. And this is really a pilot program to look at options for homeschool students who are now going to be faced with building these computer science skills and potentially not having resources that can help them in a homeschool model, and having an opportunity to provide students who are looking for just different alternatives to traditional school for whatever reason they may need to be able to participate in immersive hands-on experiential learning programs in our facility. And Z-Score is how we measure our success through pre and post assessments. We have a partnership because we are a research-focused organization, and they help us to create our research content and our assessments to make sure that we're continuously improving our programs and that we're looking at the impact that we're creating for participants. And then the final piece there on the top is our university partnerships that we're looking to build to create certification programs, which leads us to AWS Academy. So our for-profit entity is now an AWS Academy organization, so we can offer Amazon certifications for students 18 and older. And then we offer Unity programs as well as Microsoft Imagine Academy, and of course YouTube, podcasting, education training through our podcast studio. And then the final piece here is Salesforce is a new piece coming into this. Because of the STEAM Center, we've got to make sure that our new web design and our back end can support a way to manage our customers and our relationships with our participants in our programs. So that's the Salesforce piece. And just I know there was some questions and people who signed up for Salesforce. That is a very new piece for us. We have not had a CRM system in Salesforce in the past, so it will be a brand new build. This is an image of the facility, the first facility of hopefully many to come. This is a pilot program where we're looking to replicate this across the nation in communities who need these types of access to these resources, where schools can, instead of investing in potentially technology and equipment that they might use once or twice a year, they can come into our facility, use it or loan it to use some of the technology so they can bring these types of programs to their schools at a lower cost model, and also not have to purchase equipment that's not used and often enough to make its value, where using our equipment allows us to have multiple programs using it, and again it creates a more value for the content and the curriculum so that it's not disposable. And teachers can come in and experience some of these innovative new types of technologies and see whether or not it resonates through our research programs and through some of the programs that we deliver to test out new technologies to see how they create knowledge construction and help the education space. And this is just a smaller version of our bigger picture, which I'll show in a bit in a couple of slides, but this is the facility we're in today. And this is the design model. Right now it's a big open room, but it'll look like this when the construction is done. And part of this project is to build the website for this new facility and the facilities that will be coming. And we'll talk to some of the business requirements towards the end of the call. Some of the innovative learning experiences that will take place in this facility are the HoloLens and some of this augmented and mixed reality. And there's some amazing research that's happening today around this content and how it's helping students learn better, to create stickiness in learning experiences and give students a better understanding of content through these types of enhanced learning tools. This is just a quick image of our podcast studio and an image to the left is not our studio. It's an image actually from the Microsoft one in New York City, but it's just an idea of what our goal is and what this will look like when it's finished. Again, this is our coding programs. We do a lot of different types of coding programs, both for students and for school districts. And we have our annual Codeathon, which I mentioned earlier, and that's for the 13 to 18 audience. And then we're expanding into this Amazon Web Services Academy for the older adults, and also to help students who've been in our programs have another path that they can take to build some of the web services skill sets that are required out there in the field. We have a cybersecurity program that we do. A lot of our programs are gamified, and you can see this photo on the bottom right here, where it's a combination of escape the room and unlock, it's an unlock the box activity that we do, where the kids have, they get a presentation and content and learn about cybersecurity. They learn about some of the career opportunities and the salary potential and how they can go to college for free through the CyberCorp program. And then they have to, they have an hour to go through a digital platform where they have to solve clues and use some of those newfound skills to understand, you know, concepts like man in the middle, ransomware, and things like that to unlock combinations to a lock. And it's just a really fun, very competitive and intense learning experience. We've done it to thousands of students, and it always goes over really well every time. This is another piece of what we do. We found that, we look for different opportunities to help schools and organizations to expand on teaching some of these innovative learning opportunities or experiences. And this one in particular was 3D printing, that's disrupting the manufacturing industry and actually helping us here in the United States be able to do manufacturing and bring some of these manufacturing concepts back to our country. And so one of the things that we noticed in schools schools would buy these 3D printers, but they were sitting in closets. They were not being used. And we would hear from our students saying that, yes, we've got these great 3D printers, but nobody knows how to use them. Or the teachers, are not trained on them, and all kinds of different inhibitors for why we are not using these types of technologies. So we look for innovative ways to teach teachers in a better way and to get students and teachers comfortable with these kind of concepts and these types of technologies. And so this is a program where we actually have them build their own 3D printer. And once you've built the 3D printer, you really understand how it works, how to support it, how to maintain it, and then they get training on how to use the 3D printer from a design perspective and the slicing technology and how to print content with it. So it's just a different way of teaching 3D printing. We do a lot of physical computing and teaching through drones. We use the tele-drones. They're a phenomenal way to take, and this is for middle, upper high school student age groups. And then we use microbits to teach IoT and the concepts of IoT, as well as Arduino. And then again, just trying to get kids beyond just typical coding on a website, but also coding through either Python or JavaScript or other coding platforms. And this is an image of our larger facility that the pilot facility is is going to happen in the space we're in today. And we have a plan in 2 years to, and so the time frame is probably more like 2020, late 2021, to be in a larger facility in another location on Long Island in New York here. And this is the location is near the Nassau County Hub. If anyone's on the call knows what that is. It's this imagining, they're putting this is a multi-billion-dollar project to revamp this whole area and put in new communities in there. And we'll have a facility that will be right in line of sight of that. And this new facility is much larger than the space that I shared with you before. As you can see, it has a full help desk training center or GNOC space where we can do training and support, as well as an engineering lab and a larger studio and much more meeting rooms and open learning spaces and seminar rooms. And again, the idea of this is this bigger facility will be our primary location, where we will then replicate smaller locations like the one we're in today in communities where they're needed this. And this could be in rural communities where they don't have access to this type of learning experiences, where we can get a broader impact and support more school districts so that schools can reduce costs of duplicating efforts, and also not spend money on technology that they may, again, only use it for a few times a year. So we want to look at ways that we can create impact and bring awareness, and of course, reduce cost of some of this on the burden of the schools. And this is kind of an image of what that help desk training center would look like, and giving students an opportunity to experience what it would be like to work in a data center. If those who are on the call have ever done like the mock trial that they do in schools today, in high schools, where the kids, they learn content about what it's like to be a trial lawyer or a defendant, and then they go to a courtroom and they actually mock out a real trial experience. We're looking to replicate that concept in this data center model, where students would come in and have a scenario of a problem-solving event that they would have to do, and they would be in this environment and really being seeing what it's like to be in a data center. And this is part of, we do the mock trial because we want students to learn what it's like. So hopefully we're encouraging people to be good citizens as well as potentially be attorneys, right? We need the same types of programs to engage kids in some of these careers that are coming, and an opportunity for them to get real experience. So not only will we do these mock experiences and type field trip type models in this type of space, but we'll also do real training, so that people who want to come in, whether it's companies want to come in and train a group of people for their own help desk, or if somebody wants to get a certification in some of these fields and they want to come in and take a class on this, and they would do it in our facility. Some of the impact that we'll produce as a result of this is engaging with our education partners to look at how we can better divide and not divide and conquer, but collaborate together and create a greater impact. Creating curriculum design and development and testing in the center to look at new ways of new pedagogy models and new types of learning experiences with technology, research on how it's impacting our audiences, our communities, and then address the digital divide, as I mentioned before, to make sure that all schools have access to these resources, and really creating an impact on communities. So one of the things that we do today with broadening impact in communities is our Codeathon, for example. We'll have communities come to us and say, can we run this in our community? And we'll basically help that entity bring this Codeathon to their community. We provide all the resources they need to run the program, the registration site, recruiting volunteers, as well as potentially bringing instructors to the location so that they can hold that. Their role is to manage the whole event, get students recruited, and bring awareness to sponsorships and local businesses who might want to be involved in supporting the effort. And through that effort, we now create a pocket in the community that has this resource where they can expand from there. Outside of just a Codeathon, they can be starting to do other programs, and then we provide them those other resources and things they can do. So imagine this scaling out and providing this ability to have a center in those locations where they can do this type of work and really create a broader impact and drive the career demand that we need to sustain. So this is just a quick map of where the two facilities are today. The 180 Michael Drive is where the smaller location is, and then the new location is near Garden. It's Uniondale in Long Island. And then again, once we prove this model out, we'll be starting to look at where the next location is. So it's an exciting opportunity for us. So this leads us to our web design project. So if you haven't seen our website today, hopefully you have. It's about 6 years old, and it needs to be revamped, and it needs to support this new facility model. And we're not just doing, whenever we do anything, it's always done with a method to our madness. And so when we decided to do the website design, we certainly could just do it with our students, just like we did the last website changes, and we could do it in just a small learning experience. But we wanted to create a bigger picture here, because many times students go and they learn to code, they learn web design, but they don't learn the whole life cycle of what happens from the business conversation to the end point of delivering an MVP, or what an MVP is. And so we wanted to do something very different, and that's why we've gathered you on this. We put the postings out there and said, this is the concept we want to do, and this is what this call is about tonight, to share who we are and why we're doing this, and the need for it, and then how this is going to play out. So our vision is, and this is going to evolve, it'll probably pivot a little bit based on how things go, but the bottom line is the outcome will be that when we do this, it'll be a documentary type process. Everything we do is going to be recorded, even the work that you're going to be doing. We're going to be asking you to record your sessions. All of that content will be aggregated afterwards when the project is finished, and it'll be put into a content format, and we'll learn from it, so that every year we can take on one of these projects and do this for other organizations, not just ours. We're the guinea pigs, and that's important for us to do that, not take on somebody else who we would impact their business and impact their organization. We're impacting ourselves, and we're used to that. And so we can impact us, and we're doing it on a whole new platform, so our website's gonna stay as it is. We're gonna shift to WordPress. And we'll talk why we've chosen WordPress from a skills perspective. A lot of the decisions that we're making here are based on the skills that are needed and the ability for students who learn this to get sustainable jobs. Students from underserved communities can build valuable, sustainable careers for themselves and their families if they learn these skills. And they don't require a college degree. And so we want to make sure that we're providing students with an alternative. And reality is, most students that go into these types of fields or careers, and they do it either self-taught or learning through some of the programs that we offer, they end up going back to school because they realize that they now are ready or prepared to, and they have a better understanding of what they want to do, and they can pay for it because they have a job to pay for that school, or they work for a company now that pays for them to go to college. So, there's a path that happens as a result of this different path, taking a different path. And so we want to make sure that students understand that there's alternative paths to, graduating from high school, going to college and having debt for the rest of your life, and not feeling like you gained value from it. We want to make sure that students are gaining value for something they're passionate about and excited about, and that they want to take that next step because it's intentional. So this project will be opening doors for young students, and it also is going to help a lot of college students who are coming out of college saying, hey, I've got these skills, but I haven't been able to apply them yet. So this is a project that they can work on and that they can apply, and then they can put that in their portfolio. They can share the web links, and they can define what they did and what part of the project they worked on, and they can speak to it. They can speak to experience working with a collaborative team and working both virtually and in person where possible, and that they were involved in a full life cycle of a project from start to finish. And of course, nothing's ever finished, right? So it's our MVP. So going beyond the traditional coding curriculum to create a repeatable learning experience that creates impact for organization and builds a future workforce. Again, designed as a documentary that takes us from start to MVP and beyond, and then wrapping the content post MVP into a repeatable training model that can be utilized year over year to improve and continue or to create impact for other organizations. And so what we're looking to do here is redesign the website for the We Connect the Dots STEAM Research and Education Center, ready for our opening of our newly designed facility sometime in January of 2020, launching that first version of the MVP. And then create teams of experienced industry resources with unexperienced resources seeking to build confidence and competence in a specific role for the project. So here are some of the volunteers that we've gotten so far, and then I'm going to pause and hold for questions. And I apologize, the first one is a little dark there, but it says DevOps engineers, and I don't think I have a head count on that one because that may be a blank, open one still. Nick, is that the case?
Yeah, the DevOps role we didn't have anybody volunteer for.
Okay, good. So good. So I'm glad it's on there, but it's dark, and that's probably a good thing because that way it stands out. So the graphic designers, we had about 3 people sign up for that. JavaScript developers, we've got a nice 12 there. Mobile app developers, our engineers, we have 3. Product team managers, 4. Salesforce developers, we originally had none respond, and all of a sudden we got a whole influx of them coming in, which is great because we're going to need a whole team to help design this and then put it into an instructional model to help others learn from it, and hopefully design some curriculum for our training center as well as for other organizations, and creating a nice not-for-profit model that other organizations can use and take advantage of through our organization. And then technical writers, we have about 3 there. UX designers, quite a few there. That's our highest number there, which is exciting. And then we had one WordPress developer. And of course, we've made the decision to do WordPress because, and here's the choice, the reason why we made this decision. And then I promise I'll open it up to questions. Is that, we teach multiple different platforms, and a lot of kids are familiar with things like Squarespace and Wix and that. And for a younger audience, sometimes we'll use that as a platform, but we've started to shift to WordPress for a lot of reasons. One is that it's a great learning experience for students, and it can get them, they can get a part-time job and pay for college if they know WordPress, right? They could go work for a company. Most companies use WordPress. It also allows you a greater ability to do development because it is a development platform as well. So you could customize it to much greater than you can any of the other platforms that are out there that are constrained in their templates. So we just felt that it was by far probably the most used in the industry, which would then give us a better bang for our buck for student experiences and students being able to get jobs. Again, a platform that we can maintain ourselves and our students can still continue to maintain it. So it just was a decision factor for that. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just stop talking here for a second and open it up for folks on the call for questions. So I know I've thrown a lot at you, and there's quite a few on the call, and I just wanted to just check in and get some thoughts from folks before I move on to the next piece. No questions? Any questions in the chat?
None right now.
Okay. All right. So quiet audience. I guess, I'll just maybe I can do a quick poll just to get what people are thinking. So we have a question in the chat. Is that what you said?
Yes.
Okay. We've got a few questions in here, looks like. Okay. Oh, sorry. I don't know if my microphone is working, but I wanted to ask as a volunteer, how much experience are you looking for in our specific role that we volunteered for? Great question. So it depends on how many people we have in that role. So our goal was, to have some people come in with no experience and they want to learn. That's the role they want to learn. But we need to make sure that we at least have a few people in those roles that do have experience to support the others who don't. So it's a kind of different answer, but hopefully that made sense. And that's pretty typical of what we do. And anytime we do an event, we get varying skill sets coming in. Like for our Codeathon, a lot of people ask us that. Do I have to know how to code to come to the Codeathon and be a mentor? And we always tell them, no, you don't have to. As long as you're coming with an open mind to learn and a growth mindset, and you're willing to help, ensure the students are engaged and having a good time, that's what it's about. So in this case, we're looking for volunteers that want to learn and that want to help support our initiative to get this task done and really create, and it's important that we have people involved in it that don't have experience, because we want to make sure that as we create this content post to this project, that we're creating curriculum as a result that's very unique. Nobody's done this before, just for awareness. There's nobody that's ever created a real live project that's done as a documentary that's done to design and teach at the same time. And we've done this numerous times in a lot of different ways, so we're used to it, but not on this large scale and not with so many people from different backgrounds and diverse locations. So we're excited about it and we're up for the challenge, but we need to make sure that we do have resources who do come to the table with some skills. And we hope that through the different types of people that are volunteering, we'll end up having a good balance of that. So yes. Yes, so the question came in through let us know how you will divide the work if you've applied for more than one position. What we're going to be doing is looking at those roles and positions to kind of make sure that we have a balance. And, for example, those that signed up for, let me just bring the presentation back up here for a second here, hold on. If I can get my screen, just cooperate, get this out of the way. And this poll here too. So we got 100% of saying yes, so good. That's good to hear. So I'll just share that result so you guys can see that everybody said yes, it's an interesting project. So we're glad to hear that it is for you. And let me just go back to this. So if we look at these roles that we have out here, You know, we've got a lot of people who signed up as JavaScript developers, but we know that JavaScript developers are pretty versatile. They can play lots of different roles. So we may ask you to step into a different role and support where we have some gaps, right? So based on, and what we're going to probably have to do based on some of the questions that we're seeing here is that maybe send out a little survey for each of the different types of roles. And then we'll take that information, and based on what we hear back from the skill sets that people have, we'll be able to better judge how we set up the teams. And it will be done in a DevOps platform, so that that's kind of my next conversation here. So I won't go there yet, but we will be using some online tools that will allow us all to work together and work well. And that's part of the learning experience too. A lot of students, they've never worked on a collaborative team with multiple people in different roles. And, or, you know, some adults coming into this for the first time in their careers, and they're taking this leap into this new career field, and they don't know what it's like to work in a DevOps platform, and how to manage your time and your changes and you know, all the requirements for the project. And so that'll be a big part of this, where we're going to be setting that up. So hopefully that answered that question about the dividing up and putting people in the right place. And then the groups, again, will be they'll be put into groups based on the roles. We want to have a good, you know, it's one project, but there'll be a team of each of these resources. We want to have at least 2 DevOps engineers to help support that setup of the back-end systems and to manage that, because they'll have some experience with that. So we are looking for people that, and we haven't really done some enough scouring to get that position filled, but we will. The graphic designers, 3 of them is great, but we might want to bring in a couple more. But depending on the experience, those that in that bucket today that have volunteered have. The JavaScript developers, again, will assess what we've got, and we might find that, you know, 6 of them are experienced and 6 of them are building experience, and that's great. And we're going to probably tie people with each other. So we'll tie somebody who has no experience with somebody who has experience, so that they're learning from each other, and that we're dividing and conquering on some of the work and tasks that are out there. And then the Salesforce team will probably be a team of its own. And we'll report into the rest of the team with, as we start to do the integration of Salesforce into the dev platform. And then the technical writers, you guys are going to be really important for us as we start to define the statement of work of what this needs to be done, as well as the project, and making sure that we've got all the content into a deliverable curriculum that we can, you know, at least do the next program in a draft mode with the next project for next year, because we anticipate this will be a year-long project, and then the next year we'll take on another group of volunteers, some who might want to repeat, some who may say, hey, that was fun, and I'll let somebody else do it this coming year, or they might step out and come back a year later, who knows. We don't know what the cycle will take place, but we're excited to see where it goes. And then, of course, the UX designers, they're going to play a big role, and we've got a great group of them, but we might split them off into some of the you know, other roles in here, especially some of the graphic design roles. Some UX designers can fit that role too, so we might have to split. The WordPress developer, we're obviously a little weak on that side, so if somebody else on one of the other buckets has skill sets in that, we might shift them to that. But that'll come in our next piece when we do that assessment. Let's see if we have any more questions that came in here. Nope, I think I answered all the questions there. So let me, if there's no more questions, I'm going to go to the next slide, which is which was we kind of partly did. If everybody said yes to that poll, that I'm assuming that you're confirmed and you want to still participate. We're going to be looking at a schedule, and most likely how we're going to do this is we're going to mix it up a bit because of time schedules and time zones. We will most likely do evening calls, and then potentially again, we're going to send a survey out to you with putting some options in there for different times, and we're going to go with the majority of people and what most people can accommodate from a schedule perspective. And that will be some of these check-in calls. And so what we anticipate is that we'll be doing calls together at first, and then we'll go off and do our things. And then those teams will be kind of deciding amongst themselves how they're going to move forward. But we will be asking you as you work in your sub teams to do this, and as we take this DevOps project forward, and we have our MVP defined and the tasks outlined, and we're starting to kind of chunk through this, that you're going to be working with your groups and you're going to be recording your sessions. So that we have everything documented, even the coding process and what you're designing and how you're designing it and decisions you're making along the way. Because this will be part of the end curriculum when we're finished with this, that we can then use to teach the next round of candidates and the next organization that we're going to impact. And then we'll outline the confirmed roles and get the teams assigned as part of that next call. So we are looking at using Azure DevOps. And I guess what we'll do is I could put up another poll, but if anybody wants to chime in, if they've got experience using Azure DevOps. Or
yes, I do. I use that at Cinemark.
Okay, cool. Hi, Bruce. So great. So you've got some experience with Azure DevOps?
Yes, as a front-end developer.
Okay, excellent. So yeah, so that's the platform we're considering using. We're going to be working with Microsoft to get that set up for us. And, you know, we are tied pretty closely to Microsoft from a relationship and how we work with them and through our organization. So we get lots of help from them and with products and resources. So we'll have the resources we need to make sure that that environment is set up well and that we're successful doing this project together. And we also use Microsoft Teams. So you know, what the next kind of the next step of this piece is those that are on the call. You know, we have your email addresses. We're going to be sending you an invite into our Teams environment where we'll start to shape a little bit more of the. We'll probably put our surveys in that environment for you to respond to, so that we can all see where everybody's skills are at and what we need to do to build the proper teams for this. And we'll start to shape out the work that we need to get done as we wait for the Azure DevOps environment to get built out. So it'll probably be done in stages and a combination of Azure DevOps and Microsoft Teams. Any questions? Okay, so we're at almost 8 o'clock. I wanted to be respectful for time for tonight and make sure we stuck with that hour timeline. So what we're going to do is, so the next step for you is you'll be receiving a survey to kind of shape this next piece out. It'll contain questions regarding scheduling calls for this, and it'll contain questions around your skill sets and what your capabilities are in the roles that we'll maybe even just put all the roles out there and just have the surveys correspond, and we'll make them not required questions. So if you have no experience in a particular item, you can just skip that question. But it'll help us, because I know in this world, people in these skills cross over into different skills. And if we just want to make sure we understand everybody's capabilities so that we can properly align the teams and make sure we've got coverage. And then from that next call, we'll begin to shape our business requirements and look at our DevOps environment if it's ready to go by that call. And then we'll confirm our roles and getting our teams set up. Okay?
You got another question in the chat.
Another question in the chat. Okay.
How long will it take for the Salesforce developer to start their work?
Well, that'll be, I think on the next call, we can, based on the survey, I want to see what skills we have in that bucket as well. And we've got 6 Salesforce resources. We can start that one pretty quickly. So that one will take less, we can kind of get started on that, but you've got to obviously understand our business requirements first. So that'll be, I think from this next call, we can frame out some of those requirements and potentially set up a sub call that's more detailed around the Salesforce. So I would anticipate that that will happen within the next month, if I'm setting your expectations. Because we can do parallel, and we hope to do parallel things happening at the same time. We're not going to wait for the website to be done to start the Salesforce piece. We want to do that in parallel so that we can start to connect the information and see what that environment looks like. Okay, so everything sounds good. Thank you, Angela. And we've got looking forward to the project. Thank you for the opportunity. Awesome. So we're really excited, and we really, really appreciate everybody jumping on this call and wanting to be a part of this. And it's telltale for us. So when we first posted these volunteer options on Volunteer Match, we were going to start to advertise them, but we put them out there, and all of a sudden we just automatically had, within days of putting, or I shouldn't say, within hours of posting the volunteer, we had this enormous response. And so for us, it was definitely a sign that people want to have a learning experience that they can use to help move their careers forward. And that's what we do. That's our mission, is to help people do that. So we're really excited to bring this project to life and hopefully create some impact where people get good jobs and have a great learning experience, and they can share that for their next, and hopefully they give back and learn and be part of this continuing to teach others. Okay. We'll let everybody go. It's about 2 minutes before 8. I'll give you back 2 minutes to your evening. And again, thank you. And please watch for emails from Anam. Anam will be sending you off some emails with the surveys and appointment requests and that. And if you know others who you share this with and that they want to join us, please have them go out to Volunteer Match and sign up. We will continue to take people into this project as we go forward. And then at some point, we'll be taking those volunteer roles down once we feel like we've got the right resources and team aligned and we're ready to lock it down. Okay, thank you again. Oh wait, what's this, one more? Will there be able to access the PowerPoint and the recording? Yes, we'll post the recording out there for you guys to have that, and Anam will send that out. So you'll have the recorded call from tonight. Can you show what? So somebody's asking, Angela, you're asking a question? Oh, yes, the role list, absolutely, yep. Let me move this down. So 0 on the DevOps, but it sounded like Brian has some experience in that. So we maybe, when our survey, when we do this, we may get back some more, and that's good to know that you're from a front-end developer perspective too, Brian, so that that'll help us look at the gaps for getting somebody on the back end. I'll just check the chat session one more time, see if there's any other questions. If not, I'm going to end the recording, say goodnight to everybody, and thank you again for joining us. We're excited to have you on the team.